welcome to the channel. Hope you're all okay and doing some fishing. Today we're going to tie a nymph, and it is a weightless nymph. I wouldn't actually say it's been on a diet, but there's next to nothing of it. The only weight that there is the hook, the materials and some very fine copper wire. So let's get into the tying. I'm going to use 12/0 black thread, and this is a size 18 light nymph hook. So I'm just going to wind it down a little and trim up the excess thread and carry on winding down to the rear of the hook shank. Now for the tail, I'm going to use some brown hackle fibres, and I'll just take some off. It's a small hook. You won't need a very big tail, but these are very fine fibres, so just see how we get on with this. It's a bit long, so I'm going to pull that back. To something like that. And trim up the fibres. Just bind them down and back down to the rear of the hook shank. Right, as I said, the rib is a very fine copper wire, and as you can see, this is a 009, so there's next to no weight in that at all. And I'll just tie that in. Just pull it to length and bind that down and back down to the rear of the shank. Right, the body is pheasant tail fibre, just plain pheasant tail, and you're going to need 3, possibly 4, depending upon the size of the hook. As I said, this is an 18. I'm going to put 4 on, and you'll see why in a moment. So I'll just tear those off. And trim up the ends. Make sure that we have a bit of strength there. And tie them in up to around the thorax area. Right, I'm going to put just a little bit of glue onto the hook just to hold the fibres in place and wind them on. Now this fly has a very specific purpose, which I'll discuss in a moment. Wind it on up to the thorax area and tie it off. Like so. And then wind on the copper rib. Probably 4 or 5 turns. 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll tie that off as well. And we should be able to helicopter that off. There. Right, now I'm going to fold these back, these fibres, because these will be our thorax cover. Like so. And our thorax will be some hairs here. Now, you won't need a lot. It's a small fly. There. Just a little bit more on. these fibres and pull over the thorax colour and tie it down. And trim up the excess pheasant tail. Create a head. And tie off the fly. And trim up the tying thread. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue onto the head, onto the knot. There, that will be sufficient. Right, now I am just going to brush out the thorax just a little. Not a lot. And trim up some of the longer fibres. And there you have the finished nymph. So why are we tying this small nymph with no weight? On many occasions when you're fishing a dry fly, trout will come up to take the fly and then turn away at the last minute. Now this fly being dragged behind as a dropper is often taken as the fish turns away. Now the length of the dropper down to this nymph will depend upon the depth of water that you're fishing, the speed of the current, etc. But it's not meant to go right the way down to the bottom. It is meant to be mid-water and above, and it's there specifically to attract those trout that come up and turn away at the last moment. It just gives you another option. It's a super looking little nymph, and it'll certainly do the business for you under those circumstances. Hope you enjoyed the tying of this weightless nymph, and do subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for viewing. Bye.